Is 360 Kart is at the forefront of this transformation. We're building tracks that create an experience. Never realized that Slovenia was now the capital of innovation.
We, as a small country, can still be leaders in a niche industry, as it's important what kind of product you're bringing. All competitors together in the industry have the same amount of engineering power as our company has. It was 2016. I made a roadmap for the development of the company, and already at that time I predicted where we would be. And now we are entering the last development of our company. It's the experience engineering era. It was a step-by-step reinvention of the company, repositioning of the company also in terms of marketing and sales.
Massimo, how are you?
Hi, very good.
Okay.
How are you?
Good. First of all, thanks for joining us. Thanks for visiting us here in Vietnam. We spent a few days in Bangkok at the YEPA Asia.
Correct.
And we arrived, yesterday?
Yesterday.
I had the chance to have you visit one of your latest tracks that you developed in the city center of Ho Chi Minh. But before we go into that, maybe you can tell us a bit, introduce yourself, tell us about who Massimo is and your role in your company.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. Massimo is co-owner of 360 Karting, a company who produces elevated tracks, indoor tracks mainly, go-kart tracks for leisure purposes. We do this all over the world. We have about 130 projects already built around the world, and at the moment we are the leader in this industry. Together with my partner, Yarnay, we are running the company, and we are innovating the industry, and we are bringing go-karting closer to more people, closer to audience which normally was not doing go-karting. We are bringing go-karting from the places where it was traditionally outside the cities, in dusty sheds, on outdoors. We're bringing them indoors, from petrol to electric, from single level to multi-level, from racing experience to a fun experience. So from a traditional racing enthusiast to a family entertainment environment.
So it sounds like a dream job for any kid being able to work in the go-kart industry. Is this something that an industry you grew up in, or?
I never thought I would end up here, but I must say it's a privilege. It's a great fun to be here. It's the sum up of my previous experiences. It's the sum up of everything I did before in my life.
So tell us about your journey. I know a little bit about where you traveled, but what got you into the 360 world, the track manufacturing?
By education, I'm a mechanical engineer.
Okay.
And as such, I started as a project manager in a big multinational company. And there I learned a lot about operations, about product development, been relocating production from different places around Europe to our country, to Slovenia. There I learned about the best practices in the industry, about supply chain, about sourcing of materials.
So you were manufacturing?
We were manufacturing components for district heating. This was just one of the divisions inside of this big multinational company.
So heavy engineering.
Yes.
Right.
And after that, I decided that this is a little bit too safe environment. I decided to go and continue my career with my family. We went to Central Asia, to Kazakhstan, where I was working in a company, in an environment where we were developing land and building infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this was something which was very interesting for me. Projects, project business, setting up things, making new things up. And further on, coming back home, I was in the operations of a luxury boat building.
Okay.
We had a big, or the biggest, still the biggest production of luxury boats in our country at that time.
Still in Slovenia?
Still in Slovenia. And at that time, I learned a lot also about concurrent project management of different projects in the management of a company, which is quite specific know-how you need to have because building a boat, for example, or a track one after another is much more, I would say, simple. It's not so complex than building maybe 4, 8, or 12 projects at the same time. The complexity grows, I believe, to exponentially. And this is the know-how which I acquired from the boat building business and from previous businesses.
So, heavy industry in Kazakhstan, luxury boats in Slovenia. How did you hop into? Still, there's a missing. There's a piece. There's a missing link. Where did the track come from? Was this an existing company, or was it something already happening before? I mean, as a consumer, I didn't even know that there was an industry of making tracks.
Yerney, my partner in business, was more in the plastic, rotomolding plastic industry of producing big plastic parts. And at that time, he was running a company, and he was having some issues, some challenges in running his own company, and he decided then to sell it to a bigger company who was a production company producing this kind of elements. But he kept part of the production, part of the product that he was producing for himself. These were some tools from which you were able to produce some block barriers. So block barriers which could be used maybe to put them on the road when there's some works on the road. Block barriers that could be used also for a very, very primitive delimitation on go-kart tracks. Out of this, it came out an idea to start selling and producing this kind of elements for the go-karting industry.
So you were already there?
Not yet.
Okay. And which year are we in now?
This was 2012.
Okay. So a bit over 10 years ago.
Yeah. And then the company was doing a little bit of projects here and there and selling a little bit of these components. It was mainly a component business. In a point in time, a common friend, because I didn't know about Yerney and his business at that time, introduced me to Yerney and some other partners which were part of the business at that time. At that time, we're just about to start, I would say, a real important business. That the revenues started growing up a little bit, and they said, okay, we need a little bit of structure. We need some advice how to go further. And I came in the company as somebody who brought expertise and advice from different industries.
More on the project management. Again.
Project management, setting up organization, supply chain management, all these things which are necessary to keep the company operations stable. And then back and forth, we were cooperating for quite some years. This was 2015 when I started collaborating with the company. Then 2018 was the moment in time where we understood that, okay, the value that I'm bringing to the table is something that could be important to the development of the company, and we started working together full time.
When did the 360? Well, I guess it wasn't even called 360 kart back at the time.
Yes, it was called 360 karting. The brand existed already, but the question was more how to structure it, how to bring it forward, how to make the quantum leap in the future. And at that time, I think it was 2016, I made the roadmap for the development of the company. And already at that time, I predicted where we would be in this point in time. We started with component engineering and sales of component. Then we added the project turnkey, project engineering. So it means that we brought the service connected to the component. So how to use the component in a certain environment. Then the next step of this was the understanding the business of our clients. So it was the business engineering era that we were in. And now we are entering in the latest, the last development of our company. It's the experience engineering era. So there were some steps that we had to go through to come to the final point where are we today, and we still are working today to really understand, but not only understand, to live the experience engineering that we want to bring to the table to the final customer, to the investor, because we are in an industry which is creating experiences, which is creating joy, smiles, starting, of course, everything from a component, from an engineering background, but then shifting and reinventing the story and upgrading the story until today, where we are more thinking about how the whole product will look like, what kind of wow effect it will bring, what kind of feelings it will bring to the person who will be driving around the go-kart track. It was a step-by-step reinvention of the company, repositioning of the company, also in terms of marketing and sales.
If we look at the total industry of go-karting, let's say, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it's a majority of competition. The biggest players, let's say, on go-kart vehicles are mainly pushing on competition, but that seems to be shifting, where there's more a bigger and bigger market for rental go-kart, for family entertainment centers. And it seems that your company 360 kart is at the forefront of this transformation. How did you get that vision? How were you able to see that there was a possibility to change the way go-kart people access to go-kart?
We were a little bit lucky, definitely, because we were in an industry who had an opportunity for us to be able to change it. But the know-how which we brought in was a know-how from other industries. So this was the roadmap. We saw that there is a possibility to do this kind of upgrade to the added value that we could bring to the industry. But at the same time, I have to tell you, we didn't know how to be able to. We would do all the steps. This would be not fair if we would be saying now that we knew everything what was in front of us.
It feels like it when you look back, though.
Yeah, it feels natural and it feels simple.
But there was a lot of trial and errors, I guess.
Of course, it feels simple at the moment when every good advancement that you do in life, in business, on your products, innovations, whatever you do. But coming to that level, normally it's a process which doesn't happen overnight.
Let's talk about your products now. Talk about your projects, your latest projects. I'll talk about one, which we worked on together lately. The first one, we worked on a few. One of them is in Cambodia, in the city center of Phnom Penh, which was the first multi-level indoor go-kart track in the region. Our latest one that we've done is in Ho Chi Minh City, which is a multi-hybrid indoor-outdoor track. But you said, you have over 150 tracks under your belt now. Tell us some of the most craziest projects you've worked on lately.
Sometimes you go to work, one day you go to work and then you're amazed of what you have created over the years. And it's amazing sometimes to go to work and say, oh, you know that we have built 10 of the biggest indoor go-kart tracks on this planet. These are the things that if you look at them, creates the chill, on your skin.
Get goosebumps.
Goosebumps, yeah. And so some of these projects, I'll definitely mention the biggest.
What is the biggest?
The biggest project we did, and it's running extremely well today, is in New Jersey. It's under the brand Supercharge, built for our client Steve San Germano. It consists of 2 go-kart tracks built in 3 levels, which can be combined in one super track of a total length of 1 kilometer. So we are talking about go-kart tracks which are in an area of 7,000 square meters under one roof without any pillars, but very dynamic driving experiences in the world. The interesting part of this project is also that we used our widest module of our elevated structures. And this one is enabling then also the drivers to very easily overtake, or maybe even if they do some mistakes in terms of driving, to correct it and so on. So,
if today I'm a property developer, a multi-level track sounds interesting, but why should I consider doing a multi-level track? Why not doing a bowling, or why not doing a ice skating ring? Because it's still limited. Is it limited in terms of capacity?
Depends how you're looking at it. Definitely it has much higher capacity than bowling lanes because of the amount of people that you're able to push through the attraction in a certain period of time. But the biggest advantage, one of the biggest advantages of multi-level go-karting, indoor multi-level go-karting or outdoor multi-level go-karting, is the wow factor, is the differentiation, is the anchor attraction that it's becoming in the industry.
But I'm a speed maniac. I like fast.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go fast in an indoor track, am I?
You will go fast enough to be really, really, really entertained and be able to compete in full safety with yourself or with your friends for the best possible time, or in the latest, I would say, developments. There could be also some interaction between you and your friends through some gamification.
The sensation of speed is still there. I was skeptical at the beginning because I was thinking it would be more of a leisure kiddie ride, but actually these are professional. These are high speed, high performance go-karts that are on this track.
Absolutely.
And are all controlled electronically, but also using, our realization is that actually the indoor track using your barriers is safer than a system with traditional tires outdoor.
Absolutely. There is no question about it. And we learn it the hard way. What we are having today on the market is the third generation of the barrier system, which has been through a lot of testing and is preventing a lot of negative situations which could happen on a racetrack. One problem could be tires, but there are also some other, I would say, barriers on the market, like block barriers, like the one you see on the road, for example, which are also dangerous because they are moving around, they could fly around, and so on. Our barrier system is fixed to the ground, and it has an important absorption element.
So let's talk numbers, Massimo. Building multi-level tracks with barrier systems, it's going to be a wow factor. It's not that popular in shopping malls.
Yeah. Wow factor, differentiation. Multi-level track is also important because you are using the volume instead of the area.
So you're leveling in terms of space, is that right?
Yeah, you're using the volume. It's a 3D track in the air, I would say, instead of a 2D track.
What is the highest level you've ever gone in terms of height?
It's a secret now, but we are proposing now a track on 5 levels at the moment in one European city. I hope it will go through and we'll be able to show it.
5 levels. What is the height, the clearance you need for that in terms of ceiling height?
We're not using the full ceiling height that we have in this building. It's actually a shopping mall. This could be quite probably one of the best driving experiences in terms of indoor go-karting in Europe if this will happen.
Eastern Europe, Western Europe? I'm teasing you.
Central Europe.
Central Europe. Okay, we narrow it down. What kind of numbers are we looking at in terms of traffic if somebody decides to put in? How can we justify the numbers and the investment here?
There is a very important thing that we're talking about in this kind of attraction is the capacity of how many people you can put through in 1 hour. 250 meters of track, traditionally, just a few years ago, it would mean that you need a space of 2,500 square meters to put down a pit area and one level track. Today, much smaller area, but of course then we are using the volume. If we have the height which are, let's say, around 5 meters, these 2,500 square meters would shrink down to something which could be today with the newest technologies which we're bringing to the market, it could be down to 1,200 square meters. So it means that we will have only ground floor level plus one level of the bridge. And with this, we would be shrinking the space needed for the same capacity down to 50% less. We have done some research with the rest of the industry and compared the numbers between the rest of the industry and the numbers of our clients, what kind of revenues they are doing. I have to say that multi-entertainment center means go-karting plus other attractions inside of the same space. Why is this so important? Because go-karting functions as an anchor attraction. A lot of people will come and say, okay, we go go-karting, we go driving. But at the same time, they will be spending most of the time on the other attractions because they will go go-karting and then they will stay there for another hour or two. And they will have something to eat, something to drink. They will be playing on arcades. Or they will be doing some other things on some other attractions. The moment you put go-karting next to it, the same attractions do double the revenue. So it means you have the same cost of paying the rent, you have the same cost of staff, electricity, everything, but you're earning the double. This is the real added value of go-karting today in the industry, especially multi-level go-karting in small environments brings this, it's a kind of boost for the rest of the attractions inside of the entertainment center.
So 2,000 plus square meters down to 1,200.
Yeah.
I hear there's better coming.
We are going further with this development. We are coming now to something which would be 750 to 800 square meters would be enough to have a track of the same length. So, but to do that, we are entering in a new era. We call it the era of reinvention. Before I was telling you about different eras of the
I wrote down the experience era.
Yeah.
The experience engineering era.
Correct. So we started with component engineering. Then we went through business engineering. So to understand the business of our clients, this is what we were talking about just now. But now we're talking about the next era, which is starting with this year. It's the era of the reinvention of go-karting. The concept of the reinvention of go-karting started 2 years ago when we were thinking, how can we go even further? How can we go in even into smaller spaces? Because we had demands from clients. They said, we would like to have go-karting, but we have just 500, 600, 700 square meters. Can we do that? We said, no, we cannot. Because with the technology we had at that time, it was impossible. If you look at the dimension of the go-karts, the dimension of the go-karts basically stayed the same for the last 50 years. The go-kart dimension was the one who is actually also dictating the width of the track. Mm-hmm. And if you don't change the width of the go-kart, basically you should not change also the minimum width of the track, otherwise it becomes impossible to overtake somebody on the track. So coming to the challenge going into smaller environments, we said we cannot just shrink the track. If we want to shrink everything into and enter into smaller spaces, then we have to start at the beginning. We have to start at the go-kart. And at that time, 2 years ago, we were looking at partners in the industry who would be willing to support this vision, to see the opportunity to enter even into deeper into centers of the city, deeper into shopping malls. We have partnered with one of the important companies in the industry. They are the biggest go-kart manufacturer in the industry, and they accepted the challenge to produce much more narrow go-kart, 30% narrower go-kart than it was the traditional size. By reducing the size of the go-kart enabled us to reduce also the width of the track. By reducing the width of the track, we were able to come into smaller environment. The technology, which was also being developed in parallel for the last 6-7 years by the go-kart producer, the gamification of the go-kart itself, of the go-kart experience, so the go-kart would be communicating between themselves. So you would be not driving only against yourself, but through the gamification, you would be able to interact with your friends. So slow him down to overpass him, and he would be able then, vice versa, to slow you down to overpass you through a gamification between the go-karts. So the go-karts started communicating between themselves. Then we understood that this is then the layer which was missing. So it's not just reducing the go-karting to smaller environments. It's not just making it a self-driven roller coaster, but it's also by adding an additional layer of gamification that we were able to create a concept, which we call then altogether the reinvention of go-karting. And this is why we branded it completely under a new brand, which we call Space Kart.
That's and that's all in 13 years.
Right.
From the component to the business to the experience to the reinvention. Would I be mistaken if I say that 360 today is the largest driver innovator in the industry? Would that be correct?
This would be a completely fair statement. If we look at our competitors in the industry, we could say that all competitors together in the industry, they have the same amount of engineering power as only our company has. So I think this is our important strength. But as we were saying before, it's not just engineering power, it's the engineering power applied to reach certain goals, like understanding the business, understanding the experience, and reinventing it.
So we talked a lot about the industry and the product. Tell us about the team. I mean, you're based out in Slovenia. Never realized that Slovenia was now the capital of innovation for go-kart track making, apparently now.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? I never thought it too.
Made in Slovenia is a new trend.
Yeah, Slovenia is a small country. We always have this inferiority complex in these high-tech industries. If you're from a small country, is not so important as it's important what kind of product you're bringing, what kind of added value you can bring to the table. This was never a problem in terms of our clients. It was more a problem in our head. We as a small country can still be leaders in a niche industry.
And how many employees is 360 today?
The concept of 360 karting is actually that we are an engineering company, and most of our team are white-collar workers, except for certain pieces of production that we do ourselves in-house, and the warehouse where we are able then to put together all the projects. Then we pack them and we send them to different places around the world. So we send about 300 containers a year all around the world. We use about 1,500 tons of steel every year. It means that everything, where something comes to the other part of the world from our country, has to fit perfectly, because the cost of having a mistake in the other part of the world is enormous. Can eat your profits overnight. Just years back, this was going from one software to another software to Excel, and then manually inputted into the ERP system. Today is everything connected. So the digitalization and the platform that we are working on now is enabling us to be able to expand and to scale up the company. So to answer your question, we are about 40 employees at the moment. This is full-time employees, but we have another 20 external workers who are working with us most of the time on assembly of our tracks all around the world. These are assembly crews which are necessary to build, to erect our product.
I mean, it's not an industry that is common. I don't think you find track builders in every city. How do you attract talent to your company? What is your strongest value that you inspire your team as a leader?
It always is shown by leading by example. So it means that if the management of the company is behaving in a certain way and is trying to achieve certain things in a certain way, then this will be then as a practice, as a way to do it in the company. It's something of the history of Slovenia being a strong industrial environment. We have a lot of automotive industry supply.
So the majority of your team is from Slovenia?
Most of our team is really living locally. I would say 90% of our team is living in the environment of, I would say, 10 kilometers from the company. So one thing is the infrastructure, which was there because of the history of our country. Second thing was the know-how that each of us brought in. And the third thing was the relentless pursuit of keeping the quality, improving the service, understanding the customer, and reinventing the industry.
It seems that your company, with the go-kart manufacturers and probably the timing system, this kind of cooperation, working together to find ways to reinvent, recreate an experience which is more adapted to, let's say, a new mall type of shopping, is quite remarkable. What we usually ask at the end is maybe just to wrap up on a final note, if you could share what is your motto? What do you live on as a basis, or what is any favorite book that you read that really inspired you where you are today?
I believe that innovating, being creative in life, it's the driving force of being happy and joyful. I think it's when we're able to implement our talents in life. Why I would say that the motto could be connected to that, that when we are inventing something, it's interesting, but when we are reinventing ourselves, it's something that brings us forward, and it's something really inspiring and important in our lives, and makes us better people, makes us grow over time. So inventing and reinventing things is something which would be the driving force of what I'm doing and what I like in my life.
Fantastic.
In terms of a book, I would suggest to anyone, it could be maybe a little bit technical and boring book at the beginning when you read it, but for me it was a very important book in my life, and understanding the business and customer and markets. It's the book is called The New Solution Selling,
Mm-hmm.
and it talks about how to understand the customer needs and how to add value to the needs of the customer. So first understand what is the key challenge that the customer has, and then bringing a solution to that. So I think it's a kind of, it's not just about selling something, because you have to be true. If you don't bring a solution, then you will be fake. But bringing the solution for customer needs is something that was also a very important driving force for our innovation and reinvention of the product and services that we do.
Beautiful. Massimo, co-owner of 360 Kart, thank you. Thank you for reinventing the go-karting industry for the joy of our children, also for our entertainment as well, because we are having a very good time on your tracks. Thanks for visiting us here in Vietnam, and we look forward to having more of your tracks everywhere across Asia.
Thank you, Claude. It's a big pleasure being here and cooperating with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.